Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Jen, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Friday at 4. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to be here. I'm supposed to
Thank
be
you.
at work. Please tell me my boss is not on this show. I want
Your boss will never see it, right?
to let's no, well, watch. This will be the one that you go viral on. And be
It'll
like,
go
weren't you
viral
supposed to
on.
be making calls at 4? What's going on?
Right. So for our audience, Steve is not able to make it today. He had some doctor appointment today, and Jen has gladly stepped in to step up for us and get this episode going.
I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable and sound as, wise as Steve, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
I
We
think you're
miss
going
you,
to be
Steve.
fine. Yeah, you'll be fine. But so the other day, right, I was driving and realized that my car looked like it had survived a road trip through 3 states and several construction sites. You've been there, right? Stains on the console, dust on the dash. I swear the floorboard had a mystery French fry from who knows when, but I'm sure it was from McDonald's.
I know about those mystery French
Yeah,
fries. Now they're more like, orange peels, but I got you.
yeah. But that's what I call Collins Mobile Detailing. And here's the thing. I didn't have to go anywhere. He came right to my house. He pulled up with everything he needed. In just a couple hours, my car looked like it had rolled straight out of the showroom floor. And it wasn't just the shine. It was that feeling, right? When you step into a clean, fresh smelling car and instantly feel like you've got your life a little more together. That's what Collins gives you, man. Not just a clean car, but that fresh start confidence. I love it, right? So if your ride's been begging for some love, don't waste another Saturday waiting in line at a car wash. Let Collins Mobile Detailing bring the showroom to your desktop.
I
Book
love
him
it.
today. You'll thank me the next time you open your door and don't find that mystery French fry, right? So call 443-643-8195 for a free quote or visit collinsmobiledetailing.com at COLLINS mobiledetailing.com.
Amazing. I think you told me about that when you first got it done. You were bragging about your car, and that's awesome.
He's a good guy. He knows what he's doing. He's very knowledgeable, very talented. He's got it.
And I like the
So
mobile part of it too, because that's the reason I'm too lazy to go to a car wash.
same here. It's too busy.
I can
Um,
remember that smell of a new car, and when you get it detailed, it kind of feels like that, right? Like, and you're
yeah.
right. It even clearing my desk declutters me, so I can imagine the car, right? Especially if you do work in your car, it's so important.
Yeah, that's the thing, bro. I'm in it all day long, every day. I'm traveling a lot, so it's kind of important, to keep it down, man, and keep the dust out, keep it smelling good, and getting all those French fries cleared out, right?
Yes, while you're out there chasing the stars, chasing the fries.
Chasing them fries, right?
So give him a call.
Yeah. So, Jen, let's get started here. The topic today, resilient, right? So I want to read what the definition is. It's an adjective, obviously. Able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions, right? What's your take on that?
Well, I think that's one of the most important things we can learn, like in life, but also in nature. You notice it always does that. If there's a branch or something that's blowing this way, it kind of, it withstands the wind in most cases. So I think, well, I was thinking about this earlier, and I think what happens, especially when we're talking like about stuff like what you work with businesses and with our own businesses that we're have started and dealt with. I think people are looking for quick results, but the people that actually succeed are the people who are resilient, because technically you can do anything, you can accomplish anything. It just takes some people longer than others. I was thinking, if we all thought, oh, when we were a baby, like 2 months in, oh, we're never going to be an adult. We didn't grow, right? No, because it takes all that time. Like, it's the same with
Yeah.
weight loss. Like, I talk to people about, or like YouTube channel, like what I've been recently all focused on. It's just sometimes you don't see that timeline in between, that resilience of when that person was struggling, when they were frustrated, and when they didn't feel like they could make it. We don't ever see that. We just see the big highlight reel of when somebody made it, because that's usually when they feel like coming out and announcing everything.
Yeah. Real quick, let's talk about your book, right? So your background, sad to glad, tie your resilience to that. I mean, that took some time, right? That took some resilience, right? I mean,
Yeah, there was a lot of all the way up until the end where I got the first book and the letters were that little. Remember that one? When I had to come back on and be like, if anybody bought the book, I'll send you some new ones because I accidentally did the formatting first time author. I did it self-publishing on Amazon and the words were so little that no one could see them. So like just in the whole process of it, though, it's something that you have to be resilient. You have to take your time through it because things are going to come up. You might not get as much writing done as you want, or this part doesn't sound right. And then when you finally get it out there, you think, oh, it's going to blow the world up. And you realize, no, that you have to actually tell people about it. So I think most of the resilience is being disappointed but able to keep the faith and withstand that to keep going, like it's and what we put into it we get out of it, but we can't expect quick results. Like I started thinking about that book in 2020, I was telling you guys before, and it really, once I really set my mind to it, it happened so quickly when I got kind of the mindset and the focus and took action on it. Because, when we're in a state of having to be resilient, I feel like that's when we kind of want to walk away from things.
yeah. You know, when I thought about this and this topic, and I shared it with Steve, and then we're talking about it. When I talk about being resilient and resilience, the first thing that comes to mind is Rocky Balboa.
Hmm.
I love those movies. And think about it, right? That's all he talks about. It's about how
Yeah,
many times you get knocked down, get back up one more time,
I love
get up.
that scene in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, every one of his movies, he has that episode, that scene where he talks about, bouncing back from something, overcoming something, right? Being resilient to something in those movies. And I think it's such a powerful thing, right? I mean, you know, again, right? So it's this whole psychological thing about being knocked down by the adversities of life, right? That you just come back stronger than before, right? So when you get knocked down and you're a resilient person, when you get back up, you're stronger, right? You're healing, you're continuing to grow, right? I think that's something that especially entrepreneurs really deal with a lot because we go through a lot as an entrepreneur and you're going to take those hits. Life is always going to give you hits, but as an entrepreneur, you're getting hit from all over the place. You're getting hit from every different angle. And, like your book, right? I mean, how many times did you get knocked down with it, right? How many times did you struggle with writing it and putting it together and just wanting to one more chapter, one more page, right? So it's
Yeah.
that's what we do, right? And to be able to overcome that and just keep pushing through, that's tough.
And I think the part about it too is that each time we have that little setback, it's a learning experience. So we can almost, like, I think about it like a slingshot, right? Like if you would look at a slingshot, you have to pull back, or like the runners when they're getting ready to start, they take that step back. Sometimes we have to, like a stock pulls back. It's like all these different analogies come to me, but sometimes you have to just take a step back to move forward and to really, that's what I think the thing that was holding the book up was the part that my mind could get my head around. How do I get from here, this idea, to getting it on the pages and then to get it in an actual book? Because that looks like such from like a huge turnaround, like holding the book in your hand, right? Like from just an idea. So like I think that's where that resilience comes from taking a step back, thinking it over, and thinking, what is one simple little action or process I can take to get myself back on track? Whether it be one thing each day, I'm going to learn this, or I'm going to figure out like a schedule where I can commit to writing 30 minutes a day, an hour a day. Like I've been doing that recently with working out. You can tell by my big muscles, right? No, I'm just kidding. But like, I was so overwhelmed with sitting at my desk for so long. I felt like my legs were starting to feel like numb almost, and I'm like, I need to get moving around because I don't work out in the field anymore. I'm either writing or making a video or making phone calls for work. So I'm like, I need to move, but I would just put it off every day. Like, I don't have an hour, or I'd I couldn't find an hour. I'd make excuses. And so I found this 20-minute high intensity, he called it, but it's not high intensity because I can do it at 48. It's just like he does it in 20 minutes, a nice elliptical workout. And that totally made me get into it because I was like, okay, I can do 20 minutes. That resilience of like, oh, it's like, and then being sore or whatever, that's the resilience. Sometimes our muscles need that to get better. Like to build a muscle, you have to feel a little bit of uncomfortability, but not, you don't want to make yourself feel too uncomfortable. If there's a situation you're in, there is another thing where you can get out if that's going to be what's going to make you resilient, so there's two ways to look at it. You don't have to withstand everything, but if it's important to you and it's something you're striving for, it's going to happen. You're going to have those setbacks. Like, I know we've both been in business for a while.
Yeah, this is my third business, two that directly tied to what I'm doing today. But the app, the one in the middle, the app, talk about resilience. Whew.
Hmm.
Building an app I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, same thing with the mystery shopping company first time around. Nobody would tell me anything. I had to
Hmm.
figure it out. And there were times when I'm like, what am I doing? But kept pushing forward, kept digging, kept finding my path. And then before you know it, I figured it out, and the same with the app, right? The app was probably the most difficult because, there's so many different steps to go into building an app, and then you don't realize they're called milestones when you partner with a developer and you have to create these milestones for the developer, step one all the way to the finished step. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I put all this on paper. It looked great to me. And the developer said, who drew this out? I said, I did. He's like, good job. Now we got to create the milestones. So I'm like, oh,
Right. You're
okay.
like, oh, what's this all about? Right. Here we go
Yeah,
again, right? Another
yeah,
delay.
yeah, yeah. And the hardest part, I think, about anything with that app, I would say, was getting it live on Apple. Android was simple. Apple kept rejecting it for every little thing. It was annoying. But,
Hmm.
when I got it there and I got it live, I was so proud of what we accomplished because who can really say they had an app on Apple and Android, right? I had an app.
Exactly.
It was live, you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And that little part there at the end, that's the 3 feet from goal where people give up. That part where they kept rejecting it, so many people would have given up at that point. But that's part of resilience too. And
Yeah.
also, I think looking at it like you just did, like seeing the positives. I know you're an optimistic person like me, and I think that helps us be resilient because if you have an automatic negative mindset, when one little thing goes wrong, your immediate go to is, I quit, right? Even if we think that, we might take a step back and say, but we did get, like, that was some advice I would have for people. If you're in the middle of something that's giving you a hard time, you're trying to change career, you're trying to, write a book, start a YouTube channel, create an app, right? Like Chuck just talked about, like the biggest thing is when like realize all the good things that are going right because it's probably one or two little things that are holding you up or the setbacks and you just have to kind of figure out the L, like in my book, the learning part of it that you just don't already know. It's only a process from here to there, but I think it's so easy to have that self-fulfilling prophecy like I knew this wasn't going to work, but instead you have to shift your thought to how is this going to work? Like, I know you probably thought, I'm going to get that on Apple. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like, sometimes we don't know the A to B, but you did it. So that's so cool.
What's interesting about it, I'm sure you do too. I had this mindset that I don't really have failure in my mind to say, oh, it's not going to happen. I just kind of make it happen. I don't really say, oh, well, I guess I'll just try tomorrow. I don't think it's gonna be there. I don't, that's not in me. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the entrepreneurial side of us that, we don't talk about is that we don't ever say we can't do it, right? We always find a way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tie that to what I'm currently doing now because, you mentioned about, you know, getting started and getting things moving. If I would have not followed through after my first episode, I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if you saw it, but my very first pilot episode is an episode that I called the episode that never happened, the pilot episode that never happened, because that's what happened. I went out, I talked to the business owner, everything was set up. We're going to do the podcast. I did all the recording outside, inside. I had everything set up. The video was perfect. All I needed was the podcast interview. That never happened. And I couldn't figure out, well, what happened? Where did the business owner go? Why are they not following up with me? Come to find out the business went out of business.
Oh
They ran from
no.
there. Yeah. Yeah. So if you can see, you catch that episode, it's like 3 or 4 back where I posted the one there. I said it's a pilot episode that never happened, and it's a really interesting story, how it came about. But talk about resilience, right? If I would have gave up at that point when I walked in to trying to get the podcast interview, this whole show, Chasing the Stars, would have never been created
That's
because it was started
amazing.
with just a podcast.
Yeah, it's like when something like that happens, your mind could have went the other way with it. Like, see, this is why it's not going to work, but you just got to keep going. Like, I think also you can't control other people. That's one thing we have to realize. We can only control our own processes, especially when you're dealing with things like social media and videos and things like that. You have some, what is it called? Like preconceived notion of how many people are going to watch or what's going to happen. But I've seen, things like this, like they're all compiling on to each other. Like that episode, when you do it again and you stay consistent again, people are going to go back and watch those old episodes too and see that one. And then that gives people that like, what's the word I'm looking for? That inspiration to see,
Inspiration.
because I, see that with a lot of, businesses. Things weren't perfect in the beginning. Things aren't going to be perfect. I mean, you're the 1.999%, or, whatever's smaller than that. If you're somebody who everything just goes doot, 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 and perfectly for you, right? Like there was no setbacks. If your restaurant, the oven never went out, or,
Yeah.
they never had an employee quit, or if you're a YouTube person, let's just say, or writing a book and no one bought it in the first couple of weeks, but then somebody got a hold of it, the right person, and shared it, and you blew up with views. That's why you can't really give up on, or, whatever you want to say, like views on a YouTube, or, it's just that the right mindset to have is, this is what I'm committing to doing, and then whatever happens, and also have fun with it, because I think that's one thing we both have in common. Like, I'm just in my glory in here when I'm writing, or when I'm making a video or editing it, and I'm like, whether one person watches or a million, if you enjoy what you're doing, that doesn't matter as much, or you're able to be more patient to get to it.
What a great way to use the word, right? Resilience right there, because you're not worried about whether a million people are watching or looking at the video or even clicking on the link or purchasing the book or whatever. You're just focused on getting that one thing done in hopes that you have that one person that will look at it, will make it happen, and will enjoy what we're doing, right? Because I enjoy what I do. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, definitely. I think
Yeah.
you can tell when people enjoy what they do.
Oh,
You can
absolutely, right? Yeah. Yeah, it
probably
shows
in
in a
your
business too.
businesses you go in, you can tell when the waitress loves her job and hates her job just
Yeah.
as easily.
And yeah, and what's cool is like as soon as I walk into any business, whether it's a restaurant or bar or store, whatever it is, as soon as you walk in, you could tell that vibe right at
Hmm.
the as soon as you step in, that vibe will hit you like this is not it. There's something
Yes,
going on.
a whole
And I've
aura.
actually done that. Yeah, I've done that. I walked in, I stood at the hostess desk. This was a restaurant. I stood at the hostess stand a good probably 7 minutes. 7 minutes at a hostess stand. No acknowledgement. Turn around,
Oh,
walk right
that's
out.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And they just lost business, right? They lost at least $30, you know?
Hmm.
Might not be a lot to them, but I was willing to spend my hard-earned money in their restaurant, but didn't make it.
That's how it works sometimes. I mean, like, and that's how, you know, you as a consumer, as a customer, that's how you show your disserv or your distrust in a business, or it just, if you don't support them or you don't buy anything from there, they lost that customer. And you've mentioned this before, based on your what you do is taking the reviews and you're chasing the stars of what's happening on Facebook that people could be manipulating sometimes, hey, everybody write me a good review, my 12 closest friends, right? But yet when you walk in there, it's not how the atmosphere that you're hearing described. And I think that's what's, so important to have that, resilience is also accepting criticism and moving on. You don't want somebody constantly putting you down. And there are customers that might complain about everything that, that you can't resolve, but there are little things that make all customer service experiences work out.
That's what I was going to mention, right as you mentioned that, hey, look, you know, even a business owner, you know, they get tired of looking at these reviews. They get tired of hearing and seeing people bashing their business
Mm-hmm.
and talk about resilience, right? You have to be able to fight through that noise, right? And that's why I do what I do, because I want to give these business owners a whole fresh look at what could be versus what is. The
Mm-hmm.
truth is in the middle somewhere. So when I go and do these reviews and do the show for your business, you're getting the truth. You're getting exactly what happened, not some made up stuff on the internet, because, there are businesses that bash other businesses on reviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be the other way around too. It could be a great experience, but people are get jumping on that bandwagon of negativity. Somebody that has 20 friends that might have just caught wanted a free whatever salad,
Right.
I'll say. But
Yeah,
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 it's like that reminds
yeah.
me of people with with anything like, the whole being resilient with weight loss, with anything that you're doing with working out, or if you're a business, taking that lesson that you're giving them and actually changing it. The customer is always like, people say the customer is always right. Well, 90% of the time, yes, they are, or maybe even higher than that, unless it's someone who, like you said, just has it out for you and doesn't, want to see you succeed or something crazy like that. But
Yeah.
most of the time, a random customer walking in, the way that they feel, and that's why I like that you go to the restaurant because you're able to tell them that vibe and not just, take take what's on paper. You go in and you can feel the warmth of the person. And I think that's part of what talk about is the service, not just the food or drink or whatever you're getting.
Yeah. And also, what I love about what I do, I tie that podcast interview to it, because now not only do you get to know about the business, you get to know about the business owner. You get to hear their story, right? You see their passion that they put into building this wonderful business that they've created. So you hear the story from them, and you see the story of when I made a visit, and that gives you all that data from the podcast, my visit, and then my snapshot, which has all the data from Google, Yelp, and Facebook put together into a nice little picturesque little document that shows all the data. And you're armed with a lot of information to say that restaurant or that business was only a 3.6. That's their that's their average. But I just went and I give them 5 stars. All
Hmm.
because you now have that data and you know that sometimes things aren't the truth when you look on Yelp, Facebook, and Google.
I like that. And you can
Yeah.
also tell when you interview someone or when you watch someone on an interview, it like makes you feel closer to the business, like when
Yeah.
I'm doing content, I'm like, you can see people have said to me, you can tell that you really like helping people, like when I'm helping others, like with their health things and everything. And it's like, yeah, and a business owner, when you interview him, you can see if it's just something he's making money on or if it's something that he's really passionate and wants to help make people happy, which is the service-based business. So I love that too. Most people that would
Absolutely.
probably, would prefer to have that too, like not only just for you to come in and review their business, but I think that's really a big part of advertising is who owns it. Like when I know the owner of a restaurant, it makes things a lot easier if they're having a bad day too. Like if you go in and you rated it 5 stars, but you watched, Sam Edwards or whatever his name is, I'm just making names up, on your podcast, and you see that he was a nice guy, you gave it 5 stars, but you go in one day and they're out of what you came to get, and you realize, hey, that seemed like a nice guy. He's not the kind of guy that just lets things go and didn't order it. Maybe something happened, the truck didn't come in, and you're able to be a little more lenient with businesses when you know the owner too. So I think that's why it's important to do your show.
And like you said, right? It gives you that idea that say something had to go wrong because Sam's business wasn't like that. You know, not everything's
Hmm.
perfect. And that's where I have the badge called Chasing Perfection. Now you go from chasing stars to chasing perfection, So you have a chance to redeem yourself and let me come back out. Let me do another
Hmm.
show, right? Let me prove to people that look, they're not perfect, but yet they're willing to step up to fix what happened.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your side. I know you deal with resilience all the time because your clients are people. They're looking for health, right? So let's talk about some resilience on what you deal with and how you deal with it.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, like, everybody works on their own timeline, and that's what I try to explain to people. Everyone is not going to see results right away. It usually takes a lot longer than people say, but then sometimes you have to pay attention to what those little results are. So if you're starting, like what I always recommend, one salad a day, if you're new to this, fruit for lunch, salad for dinner, and then I have some desserts, like, healthy desserts that you can have. And it kind of puts you on there getting sunlight. I've been putting out that daily checklist. All of this plays a part in your health, and making sure you're drinking enough hydrating with water. And so when you do this, like, you might think, oh, I wanted to lose 20 pounds, but in 3 days, you're not going to lose 20 pounds, right? But in 3 days, what I try to help people is say, what are the little things you're noticing? Well, I'm like having less stress throughout the day, or have more energy after eating the fruit and the, greens for lunch. I'm feeling a lot better. I was able to get more done. I'm actually feeling like I can go work out because and get moving around, because of this here. So I think it's important to celebrate your wins. That's the only way you're going to stay resilient, because if you're looking for big results, those have to add up to little results. I mean, it's the same with, whether you're saving money, or if you're losing weight, or trying to get healthier, and or trying to, build a body that you want. Whatever the case is, these little mini wins, and when you don't feel like doing it, maybe taking that extra step, and then eventually you learn to like these things. I think you just, like, resilience comes from learning to like the routine that you've built, and I think I'm so proud of people when they stick to something. That's more or less the success there, because you will get the results that you need if you just do the same thing every day that can get you there. And that's really what people struggle with, I think, is doing that task when you're not going to get those results overnight, or you may have had a setback. Maybe whether it's getting on the scale and saying, I gained 2 pounds, but you forgot that yesterday you got on the workout equipment that you haven't touched in years, and you built muscle, which weighs more than, so you might be losing body fat, just those little things. Like, sometimes it's good to have a coach or a community like I have, to, like, remind you of those things and to celebrate the wins. Like, we do enough beating up to ourselves. So the last thing we need to be resilient, whether in your case, you're giving people constructive criticism, not just beating them down with bad reviews, but telling them how to fix it, so
Yeah.
that's I
Yeah.
don't even remember what the question was. I just started rambling, as you told me I do.
No, you nailed it because it was all about you. It's all about, you know, because you coach people, you talk to people. That's your business model, is coaching people how to eat raw and live a healthy lifestyle, eating the right fruits and vegetables, and how to get through life healthier and live longer.
And you got to make it fit in with your life, right? It's got to be
Yeah.
a personalized thing that it can't just happen once and then we give up on it, right? So
Right.
you can't
Yeah.
just be on your best behavior when Chuck comes because he pops up on you, and so do I, right? I'm gonna be checking in whether people are eating their greens and their
Right.
fruit.
Well, hopefully next time when Colin details my car, I find a piece of lettuce on the floor, not a French fry, right?
I'm gonna have to call him. I got that number now. I'm gonna write it down. He might be what is that what is that called? Like confidentiality, customer confidentiality. I can't tell you.
I can't tell you. I can tell you, but then I have to kill you.
Exactly. We don't want any
Right.
killings going
Yeah.
on. No
Yeah.
fry. It's Friday. Get it?
I get it. No
French
fry
fry.
Friday. We got to give up on the fries, right? Well, it's free fry Friday, according to McDonald's. I didn't get free fries today. Hey,
Oh no. Now you gotta go
no.
get them. Now you're gonna
I
drop one
know.
on your floor. You just got your floor cleaned.
Just got my floor clean.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh,
Jen, thanks a lot for filling in for Steve. It's been a pleasure having you back on. I know you were on a couple episodes ago, and you're welcome to come on anytime, when you get time. I know your work schedule and everything you do is crazy, like all of us, and I really appreciate this. I do.
thank you for having me. I always love talking
Absolutely.
with you guys and with you. And Steve, we'll see you next time. And Chuck, thank you
Yeah.
for allowing me to come on. And hello
Yeah.
to everyone out there watching. I know Dawn's on her show, or she would be. Oh no, this isn't live, right? She can still watch it, right?
Yeah, this is not live. Yeah, I'll record these and then I post them. Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, I love that you joined us back here on the Friday at 4. It's like Steve always says at the end, it's 4 o'clock somewhere.
Yes, I love
So
that. Well, thanks. I
yeah, that's
love
what
your show and your Chasing the Stars show and everything you're doing. So keep it up.
appreciate it. And you'll probably have to resend me the link so I can sign up for your school account. You said it was free. So let me give a shout out to you real quick for that if you want to. We got a couple of minutes left before we have to close out here. But go ahead and real quick, you get the school account, right? So people can sign up for free to learn all of your information, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a so what you can do first, what I'll give you is the link so that they can get the checklist. I think I have the salad checklist, the beginner raw vegan guide. It's a whole bundle of things you can get for free, and then the school links are in there.
Yeah, send
And
it to
it's
me. I'll put it in the
basically
show
an off
notes. Yeah.
Facebook group, like, if you don't want to be on social media all the time, it has a classroom where the courses are. It's got all the workshops. I do a live coaching call once a week. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And people in there that are kind of like-minded and can help you on your health journey. And I also have a women over 40s one, but this is just in general with everybody. So
Right. Cool.
it's really a cool little group to be in, I think.
Yeah, send the link over to me again. I'll put it in the show notes when I edit this up and get it posted. How's that?
Cool, thank you.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Jen, again, thanks for coming on and filling in for Steve. It's been a wonderful Friday at 4. And we'll catch up soon and have a great weekend.
You too, thank you.
You got it. Take care, Jen.
Bye, thank you.
See ya.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.